Yeah, I mean the classic AP champions in bot lane. I mean, you remember that meta as well with Ziggs bot lane, and God, that was a dark time for Wild Rift. I feel like every single game was just bruisers mid. You had Renekton mid. You have Singed mid, if you remember that all that time ago with Singed mid with Fleet Footwork. So yeah, we've had some dark times with metas, but it's nice to see Orianna back in the meta because I think in general, you know, her early game's not really that strong, but her scaling is great. I think now with the mana buffs that happened with her mana cost going down, it means that she can build a lot more damage a lot earlier into the game, which means that she can scale a lot quicker. But yeah, I totally agree that it's interesting that the Corki and the Akali get banned away again, probably just making sure that Orianna has a safer lane. But Jack's up in the Baron lane, no surprise. Nautilus as the support with the Prio pick. And then the other side, probably going to be Maokai support. Olaf probably going to be a bit flexible, but with Camille being picked, it's probably going to be Olaf in the jungle.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that the Ornn ban from side of Jobcenter is like a target ban against Wexic, who is really good Ornn. We used to play a lot of scrims and in tournaments as well. He's really good Ornn, so we also considered it as a ban against him usually. And many players say that he's like one-trick pony Ornn, and he's the only strong champion. But I assure it's not true. But yeah, he's really good on that one. So yeah, for now we see Jax as an answer to Camille, which is pretty logic. So I think Camille can go mid lane. That's an option. So probably Manga Maracuya then might try to draft around that as well. So maybe we will see Camille mid and something else on top lane, something that can counter Jax in the early game. Not that many champs can do that though, like Garen probably. Garen is pretty huge right now as well, so can appear. But on the right side, they need a bit more CC. Probably we will see Mage on the bot lane on the right side as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you talk about mages. I mean, both the mages that are really popular when playing in the bot lane or even the mid lane, Ziggs and Morgana both being banned away here for blue side. So it does actually mean that Xayah is going to be picked up in this bot lane, which means they are quite AD heavy on the right side for the red team. They're going to need some AP damage in the mid lane. Not too sure how that's going to come out just yet because we'll have to wait and see what the final pick can be. Maybe some sort of other control mage. I'm thinking maybe Syndra could be a good option. Helps him with the CC and also the burst damage to try and help with some follow-up from the likes of Camille and Olaf. Shyvana being hovered. Okay, interesting.
I also see a Kassadin angle on the right side because Manga Maracuya can think of, if it's Orianna mid lane, we can think of Kassadin. Of course, we will have troubles in the early game, but the later the game goes, the more power Kassadin will get because they have Nautilus, of course, as a like crowd control monster, like with a lot of CC chains. That's the problem. But besides that, they have a lot of magic damage that comes from Jax. Well, Jax is hybrid damage, Shyvana is hybrid as well, Ezreal is hybrid, Orianna is pure magic damage, so probably Kassadin might be a decent option here. The only concern is the early game, which might be a problem for them, but they have Olaf, which can cover in some sort of, and Shyvana isn't really about early game fights, she's more about scaling, but it's gonna be Heimerdinger, okay, to Orianna. I'd say probably I would draft Kassadin in this draft on the right side. I see a lot of potential of Kassadin here because you don't have anything to do with Kassadin in later stages of the game on side lane. So you can non-stop pressure, and Jax might have troubles against Kassadin. He will have to buy like Witsand and all that stuff to counter Kassadin somehow. And also Camille is an issue, and Jax must answer to Camille. So you can answer only on one side lane into the other. So you will always have a trouble on one of the side lanes. But Ezreal, if Ezreal goes mid, then it would be a huge issue for Kassadin. So that might be a nice cover for the team on the left side to just put Orianna bot lane and put Ezreal mid against Kassadin if Manga Maracuya would pick it, but there is no Kassadin, so we will see the classic Orianna Heimer lane in mid, and Ezreal will play bot lane.
No, yeah, I mean, it was just a standard matchups overall. I think mid lane is a bit of a snooze fest, to be honest. You know, both the mid laners just kind of want to farm up. I mean, Orianna's probably going to buy, most likely, Archangel, just try and farm up, try and get that fully stacked. Don't really need to buy Ludens anymore unless you skip Archangel and you can go straight for Ludens to try and get a bit more burst power in the early game. Same with Heimerdinger. I mean, Heimerdinger is just going to put his turrets down. Doesn't really do too much from the turrets. You just keep pushing the lane and you don't really do too much. I think it's all really down to kind of the junglers to see what plays they can make. I mean, in terms of junglers, they don't have that much setup potential in terms of ganking. You know, Olaf really has the slow, and that's it. Shyvana just has the ultimate, which doesn't really do too much as well in terms of, you know, crowd control, in terms of lockdown potential. So I think it's all down to kind of making sure that these junglers can scale and, you know, do a lot of damage, but also the setup potential from the other lanes. You know, Jax will need to use the Counter-Strike, Camille with the ultimate, and these other crowd control to set up these junglers and these mid laners to success.
Yeah, and things will be probably set on objectives, especially, well, maybe not on the first one, but on the second objective it will be very important to go for the fight. And I'd say that both drafts are kind of, you know, positioning drafts, so they're very dependent on the position. And I'm a bit afraid for Olaf in this draft, because it will be very difficult for him to make plays here, and he has no support from his backline. Like, and for example, Xayah, she doesn't like to, you know, run into the enemy, so she likes more to kite back, to play around the positioning, etc. And Olaf is not about that. He wants to run in. He wants some he wants something like Sivir or some utility support. He wants some additional help to him, some front line, maybe extra front line from top lane or etc. So here I don't see like Olaf has a lot of instruments to play with him. So he's like a bit of a, you know, he doesn't fit this draft like 100%. Oh, yeah. So I feel like that might be an issue in the game itself.
No, I totally agree. I think Olaf is more of like engage. You want kind of engage supports. You want an engage, you know, everywhere else pretty much on the map to make sure that the Olaf can get the setup potential. But Xayah and Heimerdinger want to play front to back. They want to just focus on targeting the front line, trying to kill the front line as quick as possible. You can probably get a follow-up from like Camille Olaf, maybe trying to dive into the back line, since the Maokai is probably going to be there protecting the likes of the Xayah and the Heimerdinger. But I totally agree that Olaf is a champion that wants to all in and do a lot of damage to the backline, just run into the backline, where Olaf doesn't really have that much in terms of like follow-up from his team. You know, Xayah doesn't want to chase, Heimerdinger doesn't want to chase, he wants to play around his turret. So definitely mix up in terms of the draft as well. Whereas the other side, you have like Ezreal and Orianna sitting back. You have Nautilus, which is going to be sitting back as well. And even Shyvana and Jax can do well as kind of like this front to back of using, you know, Shyvana's ultimate, Jax's ultimate to just stop a lot of that front, you know, that backline damage coming in to the Ezreal and the Orianna. So overall, I would favor blue side draft. But there are ways in which the, you know, if the Olaf gets ahead or if the Camille gets ahead, then the lockdown can be absolutely huge.
Yeah, and the Manga Maracuya, their win condition here, they have really nice positioning draft. So they, for example, if they are stacked on Baron, it's very difficult for the Jobcenter team to go into them, and they can do Baron quickly because of Olaf true damage, because of Heimerdinger turrets. Yeah. The Baron will melt down really fast. So they should always think about the Jobcenter. They must always think about positioning, always about control of the map. If they give too much to Manga Maracuya, and if Manga Maracuya will have the advantage in the other game, in the mid game, it will be one step ahead, then Jobcenter will have huge problems in mid game and in terms of objective control.
I mean, it's good that you pick the Ezreal in the end for that. You know, Ezreal is a great champion that can reposition, a great champion that can peel for himself. They're kind of the same with Xayah as well. Both the ADCs have kind of that self-peel. They were hovering the likes of the Sivir on the blue side, maybe for more utility, as you mentioned, with the movement speed. I think in terms of pro play or semi-pro play like this is, like Sivir is a great pick just because of the utility that she brings. She's been very, very popular. Maybe not as strong as solo queue because she doesn't do, like, she's not as much of a hyper carry as someone like Xayah, for example, but she can still bring a lot to the team, which is what this tournament and what these players are all about. You know, these players I've probably been practicing and playing together for quite some time, whether it's duo queue, whether it's scrims as well. So as you mentioned before, you know, they probably have something up their sleeves, but we're just waiting at the moment. Just keep you all updated for the 3-minute delay, which is something that we do. Unfortunately, Wild Rift doesn't have a thing where you can automatically go to like 3 minutes or the draft gets delayed or anything. So we just have to wait 3 minutes until the kind of delay comes in, making sure that there's no stream sniping happening from any of these players. No one's watching the stream, seeing where players are, you know, a little bit of map packing here and there and things like that. Yeah, overall, just waiting for that to start, which hopefully should be very soon.
Yeah, I think that's especially when the teams are, fully prepared for. Well, we're in game. Nice.
There you go.
There we go. And I wanted to add the thing about the Ezreal as well. Ezreal is really good against Olaf because he's, as you mentioned, about the repositioning, about his arcane shifts. Ezreal is very hard to get, so for Olaf it will be a huge pain for him.
No, definitely. As I mentioned, the repositioning is going to be very, very difficult. We actually see that the Oriannas decided to go to bot side and the Ezreal is going to mid. No surprise here that the supports are kind of roaming around. The supports are trying to get that mid lane priority as expected. But Jash actually not playing on the ADC, which Jash has always been known as the ADC main. I mean, he has a little bit of experience in terms of playing AP champions from the meta that I was talking about before when he was playing in competitive play when, like when WREC and that were around, AP champions in bot lane were very, very popular. So he has the experience, but I was expecting him probably to be on the Ezreal, but maybe that's something that they've been practicing.
Yeah, actually, that's something I remember about Jash, that he usually played a lot of mages, and I think that meta favored him because he used to play a lot of Ziggs, a lot of Orianna as well. So probably that's even more comfortable for him to be the mage player. Here's Snorlax trying to get into enemy jungle and apply some pressure. 4 men of Jobcenter are trying to invade Antonio. But good rotations from Mango Maracuya as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. It means that they can defend that jungle camp. I mean, the big thing with Shyvana is you kind of want to make sure you farm as many jungle camps as possible. As a champion that doesn't really offer too much at all, really, during the early game. You're kind of like an AFK bot, just trying to farm up, trying to get stacks towards your passive. And especially towards your ultimate. Once you have your ultimate, or once you have a few stacks of your passive to upgrade your abilities, then you become more of a champion and you can actually do quite a lot of damage as you scale into mid and late game. But it doesn't mean that your early game is going to be fairly weak and you don't really have too much in terms of ganking potential. There is a bit of a trade in top side as well with Nabil Solo Bolo trying to catch onto Patterson, but nothing else coming from it at the moment. So not too much happening in this early game, just farming from the junglers, just a lot of trading back and forth. A little invade that would trying to deny away some of the jungle camps from the Olaf, but overall, nothing too much has happened.
Yeah, I'd like to add a moment about Shyvana after all the buffs that she received.
Yes.
Now her ultimate cooldown is really, really low, so she can stack up her ultimate so fast that, I don't know, it's probably like 3 camps and your ult is back up again. So it's very, very quick. And that was huge buff. Okay, problems on the mid lane.
And mid lane, Nautilus, ulti, everything coming down. The empowered turret, though, in the turnaround. Ezreal actually using the True Shot Barrage in the mid lane. Did actually sacrifice his life, but he was probably going to die anyway, so was just using the True Shot Barrage just to try and trade 1-for-1. But it was a really good engage by Nabil in the mid lane. But Heimerdinger using the turrets, using the crowd control really, really well. And getting a trade kill back is a really good start here for Mango.
Yeah, but we see that Ezreal is already 400 gold ahead, so Ezreal is doing a really good job in terms of farming, in terms of getting that gold. So I think that problem might come to Mango Maracuya top lane engage.
Yeah, Shyvana using the ultimate to come in, but it gets recalled back by the Hextech ultimatum. Actually, there was Camille flashing in to try and finish off Shyvana. Wasn't able to finish off the job, unfortunately, and that means that it's the go signal here for International Jobcenter. They were able to get 2 kills, but they look to try and trade back here with Desire, using the feathers, using everything that she can, but it is going to be a double kill for the Jax, and it's probably going to try and be more. The feathers fly for Deadly, trying to do enough damage, but the damage is unfortunately not there for Desire. The flash forward actually playing super aggressive, but Nabil there to protect his top laner, and that does mean that Carlos survives on 1 HP with the flash over the wall. But a really good trade. Bit of a misplay there for Patterson, trying to flash forward, trying to get a kill onto Snorlax, and it meant that International Jobcenter were able to trade 3-for-1.
That's what Mango Maracuya cannot do at all. They are so aggressive. They try to push so far into the enemy line, and they cannot do that with their draft. That's the issue. You cannot just run down into enemy tier 1 tower. You need to play very disciplined in this draft. You cannot go and chase down those targets so far. So you need to play really careful. And Mango Maracuya made a pretty huge mistake. And let's see if they're going to fight for this objective.
Yeah, the Shyvana's ultimate, as you mentioned, with that buffer is already back up and ready. The True Shot Barrage as well from Ezreal, but International Jobcenter do not want to fight this. They just want to try and secure at least one of these epic monsters for Shyvana for the big amount of stacks that you get towards the passive. If you're able to get at least one epic monster, whether that's the jungle, whether that's the dragon, sorry, or the gorilla turret, it will help her accelerate her lead quite a bit. But they did use the gorilla turret already in that mid lane. Didn't actually get really anything at all from that. They got one tower plating, which is very weak for taking such a strong objective. You know, you're trying to use that gorilla turret. Sometimes you're able to go towards other objectives like the dragon, but not using it at all to any effectiveness, really.
Yeah, they could have used it later after reset and tried to bait that for the Drake, for example. And now they're losing the positioning because they used to have an advantage, and we saw the Jobcenter are respecting the positioning advantage of Manga Maracuya. They didn't even try to fight for the gorilla. Okay, here comes a fight, another one.
Yeah, another one into the jungle. Snorlax is going to be really low on HP here with the Shyvana, and the flank from Patson as well is absolutely huge. Still is able to take the dragon with 4 members around him. The smite was a little bit early there from, I believe it was the Olaf, and Shyvana was able to steal it. So yes, he does sacrifice his life, but he does take the dragon, which allows him to get a lot of stacks towards his passive.
Yeah, and International Jobcenter, they did everything correctly in terms of trying to get the Drake. When Manga Maracuya, they stopped the pressure that they used to have. They needed the resets. There was a special time gap that Jobcenter can use for the dragon. Obviously, Manga Maracuya, they tried to stop it somehow, but they were quite late. I mean, of course, Snorlax was lucky to get the Drake, but I think Jobcenter, they focused more on the side lane pressure, for example, on the bot lane, because Orianna could move towards the Drake and help Shyvana to get it faster, and they could easily get away without losing anyone. But they still got the Drake, and they got the tier 1 tower in the bot lane, so the advantage is pretty nice for International Jobcenter. They have 2,000 gold advantage, and the fight is coming.
Yeah, Carlos just trading here back and forth with the Patterson. These two players, two of the best players in EMEA, 2 players that have been around for quite some time, and they've played against each other multiple times. So they know exactly how each other play. They've been playing against each other for so many years, and it's great to see that they're still around on the Wild Rift scene, because this matchup is always great fun to watch. But yeah, I totally understand your point, you know, especially with Jash pushing in the bot lane. We saw Xayah pushing, Xayah you know, rotating around the map, trying to get a bit of damage. Patson actually flashing in, using the Hextech ultimatum. Does have the extra orb to come on through with the damage, but the ultimate resistances there from the Jax was allowed him to survive. But that is flashed down for Patson, so he does need to be a little bit careful when split pushing in the side lane.
He wanted to push back Jax from the lane. Now maybe he will try to go to the top lane and help his team, because there is engage on top. But
yeah, engaging top, nothing's going to happen. Just the ultimate coming through there from Maokai.
I was expecting Patterson to go back and just run down top lane, because Jax was trying to stay in the bot lane and farm a bit more, so Patterson could rotate and bring advantage to his team and try to make some fights in top side. But they didn't want to make any fights any further, so there was just small attempt, and actually they tried to punish Jobcenter for this aggression that they tried to make over and over in top side. But for now, nothing they can do, because if Manga Maracuya, they have their positioning, I don't think that the Jobcenter attempts to go in, they will be successful. Just like a suicide thing, okay.
Oh,
Bogambo! Come on! He's gonna die 1v1.
He's still got it, Jash, even after not playing Wild Rift for quite some time. He's back on the Rift, and he's back again in solo kills. That Luden spike is really, really huge now. You know, as I mentioned, the big thing now, I mean, he is also going for the Archangel, but sometimes you don't even need to go for the Archangel. You can just go for as much damage as possible. But that one item Luden spike, if you can land that shockwave, that buffed shockwave as well, that does more damage, you can see how much craziness it can do on the Rift. And getting a solo solo kill there onto Heimerdinger. And Heimerdinger's falling really, really far behind this game. I mean, nearly, 2,000 gold really behind, mainly 1,000 gold behind, but Josh has a really big lead. Flash forward there from the build does actually get blocked by the turret, but Mango doing quite well here at trading objectives. They're able to get that bot lane tower whilst the mid lane tower is going down, but they're slowly starting to fall apart in terms of the map pressure and trying to get control of the rift.
Yeah, the pressure is definitely on the side of Jobcenter. They're trying to get everything they can, and they trying to get the control of enemy jungle as well, which is very important on this stage of the game. Probably tier 1 tower on the top lane will definitely fall in a while, because there is no mid lane for Mango Maracuya anymore, the most important tower in the game. It gives you control over the center of the map. So now Jobcenter can make more aggression towards the top side, and they can try to get this tier 1 tower on top. And the problem for Mango Maracuya that they are out of the timers right now, so they need to be at the dragon already, but Olaf is top side and the team is not ready. So now the problem comes for Mango Maracuya, because they cannot enter the river when Jobcenter is already on the position.
Yeah, they don't have that many wards, so instead they're just going to all group as 5 and all just face check this river. And as you mentioned, it is going to be quite difficult, because when you have the Nautilus on one side, when you have the Orianna Shockwave to keep an eye on as well, they have a lot of burst damage and the huge engage coming through from the Maokai. They're able to get 1 kill. They're able to get 2 kills onto the Xayah. And Nabil just took so much damage on this Nautilus. Patterson flashing forward, trying to secure the kill onto Nabil. Will secure it with the second part of that first ability, as Ezreal looking to arcane shift forward to try and trade a little bit of damage. But that is a huge few kills to take here for Mango. They also deny away the Dragon Soul, and they're going to try and do this Baron on spawn. As you mentioned during the draft, Cold Start, with the Heimerdinger, with the Olaf, they're going to take this Baron so quickly.
Yeah, look how fast it's melting down within a second. They're gonna take this Baron. It's gonna be huge buff for Mango Maracuya, because in this draft they can easily siege enemy towers, and Jobcenter, they don't have resources to make those hard engage against the T-Rex, and I feel like Mango Maracuya can take a lot of advantage from this T-Hex.
Yeah, Patterson taking the T-Hex. Normally you see the jungler taking the T-Hex, but Patterson this time around taking it into the bottom side of the map. Just going to be able to clear the wave. The great thing about the T-Hex as well is that it just insta-clears waves in like one ability. As you mentioned, there is a trap though onto the Heimerdinger. The shockwave misses from Josh. He actually tried to use his ability and use his shield on Shyvana, but wasn't able to hit the shockwave, and actually trades 1-for-1. So a big misplay here on the Orianna meant that there wasn't as much burst damage on the Heimerdinger, and that does trade 1-for-1, but that does keep the advantage over to Mango. The flash forward on the Maokai is going to dive right into the backline. Does have the survivability though, with that Gargle Stone Plate coming on through. The T-Hex just laser raining down on Josh here, doing so much damage, but the siege continues.
Yeah, and probably the fight will continue, because they're trying to get onto the Shy, and Carlos trying to re-engage onto the guys from Mango Maracuya. Nice twist advance from Maokai. They are catching Jax. He's gonna fall. 1 extra kill for Mango Maracuya, and they keep the pressure onto Jobcenter. Heimerdinger just coming. The problem is that Heimer doesn't have stasis yet. I think after second item you must get the stasis. If he had the stasis, he would survive that fight, and he would be on the pressure all that time. And now Mango Maracuya, I'm not sure they can do a lot with this T-Hex, only tier 2 probably, and that's all. Again, engaged from Snorlax.
Yeah, Snorlax jumping in again with the ultimate. You can use the ultimate so many times. It feels like it's up 24/7 now with the buffs. All you have to do is just kill 2 or 3 jungle camps and it's back up again. So using it, normally you have to kind of save your ultimate for times where you actually need it to deal damage, but now with Shyvana, with the buffs coming on through and your ultimate being able to get it up and available much quicker, means that you can just use it as a defensive mechanism as well, which is also a great thing. But now the death cap is completed by the Orianna. 11,000 gold for Orianna, 11,000 gold for Ezreal, but this Xayah is very close to 3 items, and you saw the way that Deadly was playing. He was playing aggressive with his feathers, and as soon as Jax dashed forward forward onto him. He flashed away, he uses Feathers to land the stun, and if the Xayah Feathers do land the stun, you had the follow-up from the Heimerdinger crowd control, the Maokai, and also the Hextech Ultimatum from the Galio. So they do need to be a little bit careful, and, you know, Carlos needs to be very careful on this Jax, because if you dash too far forward, then this front to back that we were talking about that Mango have with the Xayah and also the Heimerdinger can be very difficult to grab a hold of.
Yeah, especially when, as we know, yeah, Xayah is other hyper carries on 3 items. The power spike is so huge. So Jobcenter need to be really careful. Twisted Lance again from Maokai. Oh, that was so quick. Beautiful engage from Manga Maracuya, and probably Nautilus is going to fall as well.
Yeah, gonna try and dive all the way here, and actually all the feathers come on through, but maybe the Shyvana can follow up. Oh my god, what happened to Xayah's HP? That was through exhaust as well. Xayah's HP just absolutely evaporated, and it looks like Jobcenter are trying to trade kills back. They do get one, but it looks like they're not really gonna get any more. The turrets from Heimerdinger are doing so much damage. Actually snipes in the end from the Olaf. I believe it was the axe from Olaf sniping away the Jax in the end. So it's a 3-for-2 trade in favor of Mango, and they're able to just get so much control now thanks to their earlier Baron. They're able to siege so much in the mid lane. They're also able to siege again in that top side. The Dragon is up in 4 minutes. The big thing is that none of these teams are going to be able to get Dragon Soul this game, so there's probably not going to be that much priority on this Drake. The big thing is trying to get vision control around that Baron, which is back up and available again.
Yeah, the Baron is most important here, because with this Baron, Manga Maracuya can finish the game, as well as for Jobcenter, that will be total comeback if they get the Baron. But they don't even want to contest the Drake, so it's going to be free Infernal Drake for Manga Maracuya, and they do pretty well, pretty fast with that. Of course, the whole team of Manga Maracuya will control the top side right now. They need to clear all the vision. They need to set up their control in the topside river, because the problem for Jobcenter that they cannot engage into Manga Maracuya, as you said, Stu, before. Heimer does so much damage with those turrets. It's just impossible, near impossible for Jobcenter to engage into the backline of Manga Maracuya, to just melt down so fast with those items that Heimerdinger has. And also Xayah is a huge issue for them to try and engage and go further into backline.
And you can see now the Xayah going for more of Malmortius. A great pickup here where you have Jax building AP. As you mentioned, Shyvana is mixed damage. Ezreal is mixed damage. And you also have the Orianna as well. And to be fair, even Nautilus does AP damage. So a great pickup here and great adaptation here from Deadly. Realizing that he has enough damage. He has enough sustain. He just needs the defensive stats to stay alive. But I think it's all really going to come down to, you know, what team engages first. Because I feel like Jobcenter kind of need to wait for Mango to engage. But at the same time, Mango don't want to engage. They want Jobcenter to engage onto them. And I think if this kind of back and forth happens of like hesitation from both the teams, then Mango already have control. As you can see, they're going towards the Elder Drake. So after some time, Jobcenter need to go in. They need to engage. They need to get vision control. They currently have 0 vision around this Elder Drake. And just like the Baron, this Elder Dragon can go so quickly.
Yeah, and that's the problem for Jobcenter. They need to engage, they need to go in, they need to try to do something with the Elder Drake, because Manga Maracuya, they have whole control of the river, and there is no way for Jobcenter to go in. And we see how Nabil HP melts in this situation, and they cannot do anything to enter this river.
Even has a Quicksilver now on the build just to make sure that he doesn't get hit by any crowd control from like Heimerdinger, the Maokai as well. The Elder Dragon is down to 4,000 health. They are just baiting it out for the moment, but this is where Jobcenter can look to try and get forward and try getting a gauge. Snorlax actually goes in so early, but still Snorlax got the Elder Dragon. It's absolutely huge here for Jobcenter. The Shyvana jumps in so damn early, but they get a team wipe ace, and they're probably going to finish the game. There's a minion wave in bot lane. The pings are coming on through, and just like that, the game turns on its head, and Jobcenter are just running it down mid, trying to end this game as fast as possible.
That's unbelievable, Stu. That's unbelievable what just happened. I cannot believe it. It's impossible. Like, Manga Maracuya, it felt like they didn't know what to do exactly. They didn't have the vision. They didn't have the complete picture of the situation, and they saw that Jobcenter, they turned onto the side lane to enter, not from mid lane, but from the side, to make it probably Jobcenter thought like, okay, the turrets from Heimerdinger probably stand around the mid lane, and they wanted to enter from another angle. And I don't know, like Manga Maracuya weren't prepared for that. They needed to either drop the Drake and just push mid lane and punish somehow the opposing team, and maybe to try and go for Baron and like just trade objectives. But they already got the Drake till 4 HP, and they didn't want to flip it. They didn't want to flip it. And I think that that was the moment when the mistake came. They should have kept the control